World War II is over because we are done. Psych. Although World War II was over, we still had some issues going on. One of them was called the Cold War. So we wasn't really fighting, so it wasn't hot. Because if it was hot, we'd be fighting, but we not. Anyways, sorry. Focus. Okay, so we had the Cold War. And one of the terms that I want us to recognize is called Iron Curtain. Iron Curtain is an invisible line that divided the communist influence from the democratic nations of West Germany. So in essence, that is NATO in the US, which is us, versus the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact. Now the Soviet Union was a communist party. Remember, let's revive back. In World War II, they were on our side, but why? They actually had an agreement with Germany to not attack each other. Germany tripped out and ended up violating that. So of course, the USSR came on our side to fight them. However, that didn't change the USSR's views as far as being a communist country. All right, so let's look at the difference between communist versus a democratic. I'm gonna go over communist first, and then I'm gonna go over what we have, which is more democratic. First things first, communists really controlled the Eastern Europe side. So that's where we get the East from the West. So let's go ahead and put that in our notes. So they did Eastern Europe, and the more democratic, all that kind of stuff was more of Western Europe. So I can go ahead and put that. Now remember the division, so just like in our notes, the division between the communist and the democratic was, what was this line called again? That's right, the Iron Curtain. So this is technically our Iron Curtain. Now, under a communist system, it's controlled by the government. It uses dictators, which is a form of aggressive government of totalitarianism. Remember that from last unit, all right? To gain control, and human rights were limited because the government had complete control. So human rights, civil liberties, none of that matters if it doesn't benefit the government. So that is the communist in a nutshell. And just as an Easter egg, one of the things that we're also going to talk about if you review your PowerPoint is the Red Scare. So the United States was afraid, because this was Soviet Union, that they would influence our way of life. And this was known as the Red Scare. We didn't want that to happen, okay? So we just went over three terms. We have the Iron Curtain, what it means to be a part of a communist system, and then the Red Scare. Now let's go to democratic. Now, for the democratic, which was prevalent in the Western Europe, we have free market, we have capitalist, and we have the right to vote, which makes us a democratic society. So that means we don't have dictators. We vote on president or people who we want in office. And of course, that'll be on the economic side, of this platform. However, this is very important because the communist views directly goes against the democratic views. The whole point of the Cold War was to stop the spread of communism. So again, this is another reason why the Red Scare was such a big deal, because we didn't want to be influenced by the Soviets coming over here. There also was talk about spies in the US. So we wanted to protect our way of life. So we wanted to stop the spread of communists. And that is really the key that drove the Cold War. So the origin of the word Iron Curtain was actually from Winston Churchill's speech, and basically said that this Iron Curtain, it was causing us not to be united in a democratic way. It was actually causing us to be separated in a more conflict. Now, I know some of you are trying to figure out, okay, well, Ms. Smith, you just said NATO and the United States. What's NATO? Well, I'm glad you asked. NATO actually stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was established in 1949 in order to pretty much keep the peace. So let's handle conflict in a democratic type way instead of always going to war. So to conclude this segment, we went over the Iron Curtain. What was it? How it divided Europe, how it affected the United States, and what was our role into being introduced into the Cold War. In the next section, we'll talk about the Berlin Airlift, the Cold War, the Vietnam War, and the Korean War. So stay tuned.